Hi everyone, it's Kathie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I have the final card featuring the February 2018 Paper Pumpkin Kit. And I decided that I'm going to change it up a little bit and we're going to do a little bit of watercoloring. And so here's the finished card. I really like the bold background and I think it turned out really nice. All right, we're going to get started and I have pink pirouette, I have the flower stamp, and I've taped down some Canson watercolor paper onto a glass plate. And I've stamped the flower about 3 times on that panel in pink pirouette. And I decided to change this up. So I'm just going to restamp those flowers with VersaFine ink. And now I'm going to gold emboss those instead. Because I think after when I add all the colors in, you're not going to be able to see those flowers because they are kind of tiny. And then later on, we're going to color those in. Next, I'm going to pencil in the shape of the wreath as a guide. And then we're going to use soft suede and that line stamp. I curved it on my block there, and I'm just going to stamp around the circle shape. And then I stamp it a bunch more times just to add a bit more color. And I really like how it turned out. And then the next color I'm going to use is garden green, and I'm just adding a little bit of green around that circle. And later on, we're going to blend all the colors together to create a little base. And this part here, I'm going to color in the flowers. I use powder pink, lemon lime twist, and garden green for the leaves, and then melon mambo for the flowers to get it a little bit darker. I do hit it with the aqua brush, and then the centers I used pumpkin pie. Just going over the flowers one more time with melon mambo. And here's where I'm blending in all the colors for this wreath to create the base. And then after this, I do a quick dry, and then with garden green and that line stamp, I'm just going to stamp all around that to build up this wreath shape. It looks really nice and full now, and I like how it turned out because now the flowers are really popping out. So I think if I left the panel more on the white side, it would look pretty nice. But I want to create a wood grain panel, and my initial thought here was to create a blue one. And once I kind of blended in the blue that I stamped, I decided that I didn't like it. So I'm bringing in soft suede. And I'm just going to color the entire panel with this color. And I am adding a little bit darker shadows underneath that wreath, just so that it looks a little more dimensional. And then I'm just going to fix those knots that I drew for the wood grain, and we'll just emphasize that a bit more. So I did dry in between as I laid the color down. And we're just going to finish off the center part of this wreath. All right, so the next colors we're going to use is garden green and chocolate chip. And the garden green is to add back any details that we may have lost from the first round of watercoloring. And then chocolate chip is to add additional highlights and to get that background looking really nice and bold. So we're going to add darker highlights underneath the wreath, and I'm just emphasizing the knots in the wood that I drew. And I wasn't being too careful on the bottom left there because I wasn't creating straight lines. So afterwards, when the panel dried, it was starting to give off that warpy look. So off screen, I did go back in and straighten out the bottom left there because it was really bothering me that it was looking like a warped panel. But you'll see it on the stills. All right, this part here, I cut down the panel at 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I decided to create some additional flowers on some white cardstock. I gold embossed it and colored it with the same colors. And then I fussy cut out 3 of those. And we're going to stick it onto the wreath with some dimensionals. All right, so here is a piano that's from the kit. It's the Floral Sahara Sand one. And I stuck it onto a top folding card base. And then the main piece, I put it onto a black panel, which is 3.5 by 4.5. And then here are those pieces that I created earlier that I've cut out. And I'm just sticking it over top of the original Golden Boss flowers as a little accent for the background. And the bow is Melamambo twine that I had in my stash, and I doubled up on the twine there for the bow, and I think it looks much better when it's fuller like that. And then I stamped out a friend sentiment and created a fishtail on the one end. And I'm going to raise the sentiment with a couple of dimensionals. And also I added 2 of the vellum sprig pieces on this wreath, and I think that was a nice addition. And then also I added some pearls that I had in my stash. So I really like how it turned out, and the bottom left there looks a little bit better. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's card. Bye for now.